let's talk about goal setting, shall we? Let's get right into it. These are the types of goals that you need to set right now. Hey there, Enterprisers, what's good? It's Jason Ligo here again, and in this video I want to talk to you about what kind of goals to set. That's right, what kinds of goals to set. You know that I'm big when it comes to goal setting, right? I absolutely love goal setting, and I think that goal setting is one of those really fine arts, and practices that every business owner, every entrepreneur, and every person really who just wants to be successful, because if you don't set a goal, you'll never hit it, right? I'm not the person who originally said that. There are many people who have said something similar, Wayne Gretzky, Michael Jordan, and so on, and you've heard some of these cliches and age-old adages throughout the years about if you don't set it, a goal, then you'll hit it every time, and that kind of thing, right? All of that is well and good, and all of that really applies. What I want to talk to you today, however, is really about the types of goals that you need to set. Now, let me go ahead and start by saying that if you really want to dive into this, one of the best things that I've ever seen, one of the best representations of goal setting is called the SMART method. I think I've done a video on that in the past, and if I haven't, maybe I'll do it in the future. And so you can certainly look into that. What I want to talk today, though, is not necessarily the SMART method. I want to talk to you about 3 specific types of goals that kind of fall underneath that thought process, that framework, if you will. And so when it comes to goal setting, it's not as simple as just simply saying, this is my goal, how am I going to get there? That's a great start, but you need to understand that when you do set goals, one of the best things that you can do is break down your goals and then think about the different types of goals that you can set. That way it keeps it fresh, it keeps it realistic, and again, it is one of those things where if you don't do it this way, then sometimes what I find is a lot of people will set a lofty goal that's too lofty, too far out there. Next thing you know, they're burnt out because they're trying so hard to hit something that they know they probably can't be able to, and that is really, really discouraging. We want to avoid all that. So let me give you 3 very simple but basic and powerful goals that you need to set. If you set these types of goals, then I promise you, you're going to be okay. Let's get right into it. Number 1, achievable. Okay, achievable. What are the types of goals you need to set? Number 1 is an achievable goal. Now, I know that that sounds a little bit counterintuitive for a lot of people. Maybe you're watching this video and you're thinking, okay, well, what are you saying, Jason? Are you saying that I should only set the things that I can hit? How do I stretch myself? How do I push myself? Let me go ahead and be clear. I definitely think that your goals should be challenging. Why else would you have a goal, right? You have a goal that is out there and you want to make sure that you are shooting towards a mark that is rewarding, that is challenging, but let's be real, it has to be realistic. It has to be achievable, all right? And one of the biggest markers in this to consider is that if you've never done a portion of what you're trying to do, then how do you expect to get there? Does that make sense? There is no quicker way to be discouraged than to set $1 million goal and you've never even hit $100,000 before. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like, okay, if you can't even hit 10%, then how can you hit this? Does that make sense? Again, I'm not raining on your parade. I want you to challenge yourself. I want you to push yourself, but let the goals be achievable. Or at least make sure that that is one of your goals, right? If you want to go ahead and hit $1 million, go ahead, but know that the goal of 100,000 should come first. Does that make sense? If you want to lose 50 pounds, go for it, but set the 5-pound goal first, and then you can cross that off your list. That is a goal that is achieved, that is attained. You feel it, you feel rewarded in doing so, and you're motivated to hit the next tier. That's all I'm saying that you should do. But yes, number 1, make sure that your goals are achievable. Number 2, measurable, okay? Measurable. What type of goal? A measurable goal. And it kind of piggybacks off of my last point, but yes, you ought to be able to measure the goals that you're setting. So I definitely think that it is not unreasonable for you to set goals like $100,000, 20 pounds, and so on, because those are things that you can measure rather easily. Let's also break it down a little bit further. When you measure your goals, you need to measure them not only according to, the unit by which you're trying to get there, but also the time it takes to get to each goal. Does that make sense? Don't miss this because this is powerful stuff. Let's assume that I want to go ahead and set a goal to lose 25 pounds, and I want to see how fast I can do that, right? So again, one easy way to do this, or one reasonable way to do this, is to set achievable goals of 5-pound increments each. And that way you're hitting the first point like I talked about. These are reasonable goals. These are goals that will not discourage you. Because if I set the goal for 25 pounds and I only hit 7, then I'm going to be discouraged and I'm going to quit. Versus if I set an overall goal of 25 pounds with 5-pound increments on the way to get there, those are smaller goals that I can go ahead and hit. Now what I want to do is I want to pay attention to how much time it takes to hit each goal tier. Does that make sense? sense? So in other words, if I have a goal this year to lose 30 pounds, I want to go ahead and set a goal to lose the first 5, and then I want to pay attention to how long it takes me to get there. Perhaps it only took me 2 weeks to lose 5 pounds, which is pretty good, right? And then I want to go ahead and say, well, if I was able to do that, can I sustain that? Can I keep that up? And that way, if I measure it, then I know that I am only 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks away from reaching my ultimate goal. Does that make sense? You see businesses do this all the time whenever they project their quarterly earnings and so on. They go ahead and build it into their budget. They want to see how quickly they can make the type of money, or they want to see how quickly they made certain types of money, and then they want to figure out, okay, if we did that in this amount of time, can that process be duplicated? And this is powerful stuff, because if you're able to prove the process, then you're able to improve the process, and you're also able to duplicate the process, thereby getting to your goal and sometimes getting you there even quicker than your overall time goal, all right? Hopefully this is making sense to you, but if you think about it in these terms, it's very, very exciting. So yes, you want to make sure that your stuff is reasonable in terms of goal setting, but also make sure that it's measurable, and then measure, measure, measure. And the reason that you want to be big on measuring your goals is because you can only improve upon that which gets measured initially. So see where you're at and then improve it and make it better, step by step by step. Go ahead and make sure that you measure your goals. Third and finally, you want to make sure that your goals are variable, okay? Variable. And when I say variable, I'm really talking about mixing things up, all right? That is the whole purpose of the word varied, by the way, right? We're talking about things that are different, that are not the same, things that are mixed up, things that have a variety. And when it comes to goal setting, I want to make sure that you're understanding that I believe that your goals should not just be based on a numeric value, all right? The easiest examples we've been talking about are monetary and weight loss, because those things are easy to attach numbers to them. In a business or monetary sense, it's a dollar amount. In a health and fitness sense, it's usually a pounds amount, or whatever unit of weight you're using, whether it's pounds, kilos, or whatever, depending on where you're at in the world. But you see what I'm saying? What I think that you should also do is vary the type of goals that you have. So it's not just lose 5 pounds or make $5. It should also be, did I do this specific action? Because if you measure and if you track the behaviors, the actions, then oftentimes those will translate directly into numbers. So here's what I mean. Let's go ahead and take a real life example. If I want to go ahead and lose 5 pounds, I can simply write a goal that says lose 5 pounds, and then I can try my best to do that. But if I set goals within that goal, that is goals that are attached to actions and behaviors, then I can really see what contributes to losing those 5 pounds. Here's what I mean. If I want to lose 5 pounds, I could simply say, make it a goal today to not eat any processed food, or make it a goal today to drink this much water, or make it a goal today to make sure that I work out before I eat. Or perhaps make it a goal to say, make sure that I get 30 minutes of cardio. Or make it a goal to say, maybe tonight I make sure that I go to bed without having eaten past a certain time, or not within 4 hours of the time that I'm gonna go to sleep. Does that make sense? Now you're setting goals that are not just numerically based, you're setting goals that are activity based, behavior based, and if you hit the number, then you can look back and see what you did, right? And so what you did to get there can show itself. And again, going back to the previous point, now that you figure that out, you have a process that you can duplicate again and again, and then you can also improve upon it. So for instance, if you see that you're doing a certain calorie intake that is less than what you've been doing, and that showed that you lost a pound or two, what happens if you increase the caloric deficit? What happens if you increase the leads that come in by way of ramping up certain marketing, that you have more leads to work that now computes into conversions and sales? Does this make sense? Whenever I think about this and break these things down, it kind of blows my mind and I get excited about it. Hopefully you're doing the same thing. Just know that when you're setting goals, they should be varied. You should have a variety of the type of goals that you want. Be sure to make variability as a key point when it comes to your goal setting, and I promise you it'll take your goal setting to a whole new level. There you have it, my friends. Listen, I hope that this was helpful to you. Quick and dirty as per usual, but direct to the point, hard hitting. And again, I trust that it is helpful. Go ahead and sound off in the comments below and let me know which one of these stuck out to you the most, because believe me, goal setting is one of those things that it is a science and it is an art, equal parts. Let me know how you're doing. With that said, you know what to do. Give me a like, a comment, a share, but also subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you don't miss out on any more hot new content that I got coming down the pipe just for you. This is Jason Ligo with Always Enterprise, and I'll talk to you next time. Take care.